What is it going to say?
For the Father judges no man.
Yes.
But have committed all judgment unto
But have
the Son.
committed all judgment to the Son. What does the 27th verse say?
And have given him authority to execute judgment also.
And have given the Son authority to execute judgment also. How about 2 Corinthians 5 and 10? 2 Corinthians 5th chapter 10th verse.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of who?
Christ.
Who?
Christ.
How many of y'all grew up hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, now this is some deep stuff. Because that's what the biblical text says, but this is where they got it from. Now this is a pictograph. And in this pictograph you see Osiris dressed in white. In this pictograph his face is white too, by the way. I'm going to mess you up in a minute. And you also see the person being judged standing before Osiris at the great white throne. Now, not only is he standing there, but he has the scales upon his shoulders. They took that and put it in the Bible. Who was it? Nebuchadnezzar, one of the kings, and the dream, the interpreter said, it means, TKL, something writing on the wall means you've been weighed in the balances and found, who knows what the rest said? Wanting, thank you. You see, it had to come from here because there was no Nebuchadnezzar. Here you have the brother being judged, the pig, the swine on the boat represents Set or Satan, which became Satan in European theology. Here you have the 9 gods, or representing the 9 levels of life. And those of you who know anything about numerology, you know that when you get to the number 9, you have reached the pinnacle, and at that point you go into the summum bonum, or the supreme good. That's a pictograph. There it is on the wall. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing to draw. It's another thing to go and examine the temples and tombs and see where they got it from. What color is Osiris there, y'all? What color? Thank you. Why? Because the word Osiris means Lord of the perfect black. Well, the spread of the cult was rapid both in Upper Egypt and in the Delta. And by the way, don't get messed up by the word cult. See how they control our thinking? We think the word cult means something bad. The word cult simply means that's the way a people do things. Cult is the root word of culture. Cult is the root word of cultivate. You follow what I'm saying? Because no other cult offered to its adherents the hope of the resurrection and immortality. Now this is some deep stuff. Notice what it says about Osiris. His human nature, they thought, enabled his human nature. His human nature. Okay? This is where they stole the idea of the 2 natures of Jesus. His divine nature and his human nature. His human nature, they thought, enabled him to understand the needs, troubles, and griefs of men and listen sympathetically to their prayers. And his divine nature gave him powers to help them in this world and in the next, which no other ancestor God ever possessed. Y'all see that? Read Hebrews 4:15.
For we have not a high priest
For we don't have a high priest
which cannot be touched with the feelings
cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities.
But was in all points tempted like as we are.
But was in all points tempted like as we are. And why were we taught that Jesus was tempted in all points like us? Because of his human nature. Yet without sin because of his divine nature. Look at the person next to you. Now I know I'm getting ready to mess with somebody, but God didn't come for me to play with you at this time. So let me say it like this. Look at the person next to you and say, Jesus didn't exist. So they got this human and divine nature from somebody else. Please understand that. They stole it from Africa. They stole our story and put their ethnicity on it. In addition to Osiris, and see, a lot of people tell you that Africans were polytheistic. They say the Africans, the Egyptians, worshiped many gods. Not true. It tells you here, the Egyptians paid divine honors, not worship, divine honors to the sun god, the moon god, the air god, the water god, the sky god, the earth god, the Nile god, and to a host of spirits of whom we know the names of about 3,000. Now when people read that, they say, see all them gods Africans worship. But yet I can say Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi. You get the picture? And anybody got a problem with it? Only thing the Africans did is they acknowledged the attributes of God that were manifested in various aspects of creation. What relation all these gods and spirits bore to each other and to Osiris is not at first clear, and it is the realization of the existence of these which has induced some writers to declare that the Egyptian religion was nothing but a polytheistic cult. And yet it was not. It says, for the Egyptians believed in the existence of one great God, self-produced, self-existent, almighty, and eternal, who created the gods, not angels. You don't find the word angels in African theology. Okay? The heavens and the sun, moon, and stars, and them, and the earth, and everything on it, including man, beast, bird, fish, and reptile. They believed that he maintained in being everything which he had created, and that he was the support of the universe and Lord of it all. So you see, brothers and sisters, the ancient Africans only believed in one great God. What's really deep about it is, it says here, on rare occasions in which he is mentioned in their writings, he is always called Nectar, meaning God, and besides this he has no name. The ancient Africans once, they didn't try that stuff. They did not try to get into arguments over the name of God, because they knew. What does Acts 7:20-22 say? Now this is deep stuff, y'all. What does it say?
In which time Moses
was born. Who?
Moses.
Moses was born and what?
And was exceeding fair.
And was exceeding fair.
And nourished up in his father's house.
And nourished up in his father's house 3 months. And what happened?
And when he was cast out.
Now before you go any further, let me help you. Moses didn't exist either. Okay? But it's a part of their story. I'm going to show you. We're going to get to Moses in a minute, okay? But their story created a guy called Moses. And it tells you, according to their story, in the 7th chapter of Acts, verses 20-22, it goes on to say he was exceeding fair, raised up in his father's house 3 months, and what happened?
And when he was cast out.
And when he was cast out, what happened?
Pharaoh's daughter took him up.
Pharaoh's daughter took him up
and nourished him for her own son.
And nourished him for her own son. And then what does it say? Now check this out. What does it say?
And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians.
And Moses, the one that they told you had a speech impediment,